Let's talk about Jeff the Killer. By the way, this is a creepypasta. He was a 13-year-old boy who had just moved to a new town with his mother and father. And he was already being bullied a lot in horrible ways that I can't even say on this video. One day at a party, the bullying got a little too out of hand. They disfigured him, lighting him on fire and throwing bleach on his face. He woke up in the hospital with his head wrapped in bandages. His eyelids were burnt off. When he took off the bandages, he noticed his face was all leathery and pale. He started laughing uncontrollably, and doctors just played it off as, oh, maybe it's the medicine we gave him, making him a little loopy. He started saying he loved his new face, and he eventually carved a permanent smile in his mouth because mentally he was broken. He was no longer that nice little 13-year-old boy. That's when he decided to get revenge on the bullies, taking them out one by one. This watermelon's good. He even took his family's life. What did they do to you, bro? What did they do? Now it's stated that he comes after anyone who stays up late. This was the last photo someone took of him before he got them. This picture is supposedly cursed. This woman took the life of her children, but would you say it was her fault? At the end of last January, Lindsay Clancy had asked her husband, Patrick, to go to this restaurant and pick up dinner for the night. The restaurant was right by the house, so he went, but when he returned, he realized the house was quiet. Mind you, they had a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 7-month-old. When he started looking for the family, he noticed the window was open. He looked out the window and saw Lindsay on the ground. She had tried to unalive herself, but she was still alive. Patrick, who was confused, snapped back into reality and started searching for his children. That's when he discovered all 3 in the basement. Lindsay had used an exercise cord on them. They didn't make it. Lindsay's defense lawyer says that she was suffering from postpartum psychosis, which I never even knew was a thing. An expert said that in severe episodes, women can break completely from reality and warns women who are a few weeks postpartum to be aware of the symptoms, which is usually having hallucinations. Now look, Lindsay is still being charged for what she did. She is awaiting her sentencing. But get this, she's also currently paralyzed from the waist down from jumping out the window. Let's talk about the Kasu. She has a beautiful face, but nothing but organs hanging from her head. At night, she hunts for the blood and flesh of anything she can find, but mainly from goat and cattle since they're so easily accessible. But this story has a sad beginning. By the way, yo, these are volcano ramen. My booty about to be hurting. She was said to have been a princess between the 9th and 15th century. Yo, rice paper is the hardest thing to work with. How do you do this? That's when a powerful member of the Siamese aristocracy defeated her people in battle. She was then forced to marry him. I think I did that pretty good. But she was secretly in love with another man. I got some veggies. By the way, if you made it this far in the video, comment below where you're from. I want to know where all you guys are from. I live in Vegas, by the way. Ooh-wee. This one came out pretty good. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm probably horrible at rapping this and just talking. But to me, it did. The man she was in love with was very younger, though. You know, she was a little cougar. I don't mind me some older women. If you seeing this, Oprah? One day, her and the younger man got caught doing the nasty. And the prince didn't like this at all. Bro, you kidnapped and killed her whole people. You can't be mad. Looked like a used condom, I'm not even gonna lie. So he sentenced her to be burned. That's all dudes would do back in the day. Hey, babe, can I get your number? No, I'm taking. Witch! She's a witch! So before she could even get burned, she escaped and went to a witch. The witch then casted a spell on her that made her body immune to fire. But the spell took a while to go into effect. So when it was time for the princess to be burned, it was only halfway finished. Her whole body burned, but her head and some of her organs survived because of the spell. I know she was mad. She can't even twerk no more. Don't got no booty cheeks. The princess now survives at night. She's able to attach her head to her body in the daytime, but at night, she needs to dine on flesh and blood in order to survive and regain energy. If she doesn't make it back to her body by sunrise, she dies. And you might be like, Chloe, this is all fake. Get out of here. But there's been some videos. Like, what is this on this goat? Then you mix that up, baby. Now either that's her, or somebody need to come get their weave. It needs some training. That thing is alive. Try this out. Oh yeah, baby. This is actually really good. Woo! A little spicy. I'm going to the club tonight. Club toilet. Comment below what y'all want me to do a story of next. You see this dancing lady? Well, this video has a disturbing backstory. She's located in Serbia, and if you see her, you're supposed to remain quiet, unnoticed, or she will pull out a knife and chase you.
Oh, buras.
Hold on a minute. I'm hungry and I bought some cereal minis. Comment down below your favorite cereal because I want to see if y'all got good taste. I swear, if somebody says Raisin Bran in the comments, I'm coming to your house and I'm boxing you. We gonna box. Come dance like that in America. I have you dancing all right. Pew, pew. Dance. Now, the police played this off as one big joke. They thought it was a fairy tale. People were just making it up. You know how people talk about folk tales and stuff like that? Until videos started appearing of her, and then the police took it very seriously. Oh, no. They opened up a huge investigation. In 2019, she disappeared. She was afraid when them cops come. I'm scared of the cops too. It's all good. In 2023, she just returned, and more videos started popping up of her and the knife more often. Oh, this time she's threatening people. She's not playing. Police have now started taking her very seriously and telling everybody that if they see her, do not go near her. Stay indoors. If you talk about skinwalkers, then you may become a victim. So never mention them. This one's a really crazy story. But first, I'm hungry. What's better, corn dogs or hot dogs? In June 1987, Sarah Naganitsa was working the night shift at a Flagstaff medical center in Arizona. And her family became worried when she didn't come home. Someone went to that medical center in the morning and found a face that was bruised up, almost to the point of unrecognizable. But they knew it was Sarah. Her torso had multiple in them, and her left you-know-what was bitten off. What human would bite a whole chest off? Now this is the crazy part. There was broken sticks all around her body, with clumps of grass from a graveyard by her car and body. The police didn't blame the guy named George Abney, because prior he had been telling his friends that he was having visions that Sarah would be unalived. He was a former professor at a northern university in Arizona, and he believed the strange dreams that he was having of Sarah's unaliving was visions given to him by God. Does God give you visions like that? But a defense lawyer of his had a different theory, that it was a skinwalker because of all the sticks and dirt and wounds on her torso. George was still found guilty, but a year later they reopened the case because of Sarah's family. They believed George. They believed he was truly innocent and acquitted him of all the charges. George became very close friends with the family, even being at their house from time to time. Do y'all think George took advantage of the Navajos' belief in the skinwalker? Or do you think he is innocent? This had to be the worst death imaginable. This was the entrance to the Nutty Putty Cave in Utah. It was known for its extremely narrow passageways, having a length of approximately 1,355 feet, and it was about 145 feet deep. A lot of thrill seekers would go through this narrow cave, but one man met his fate. That man's name was John Edward Jones, who was recently married and a father of one, his wife being pregnant with their second child. John was a kind soul. Everybody loved him. He had a bright sense of humor, and he took care of his daughter. He loved her very much. But sadly, he wouldn't get the chance to see his daughter grow up. At 8 p.m. on November 24, 2009, John and 9 of his friends decided to go enter the Nutty Putty Cave. Everything was going smooth for roughly an hour. They had made it so far in the cave, and they could have stopped. But John wanted to up the challenge and try going through a really narrow section called the birth canal. Unfortunately for him, he decided to be the first one out of the group to go. But it turns out he might have not entered the birth canal, but instead he accidentally entered a section of the cave called Ed's Push, a passageway that led to nowhere. But he kept pushing forward, inch by inch, until he couldn't go anymore. He had gotten stuck on part of the tunnel that was bent downward, leading him to be upside down. The area was about the size of an opening of a small washing machine, while John was about 6 feet and 200 pounds. John was stuck. He was 100 feet below the ground. His friends tried and tried, but they couldn't get him out. As much as John tried to wiggle, nothing happened. He couldn't budge. Every time the friends thought they were getting him out, he just slid in more. A rescue team was soon called in, And when they finally reached John, he said thank you, but I would really like to get out of here. As the rescuers were able to see John's feet, they tried everything from oiling and lubing up the walls. They even tried drilling through the rock and hooking him up to contraptions to try and tug him out. And still nothing. At one point they were able to pull him back up several feet, but the rope broke and he slid right back down. After 10 hours of suffering and being stuck upside down, John sadly died. Leaving behind his wife and kids, they had no choice but to seal up the passageway with John's body still stuck inside till this day. There's a memorial now sitting there for him, and that's not all. His wife has since moved on to a new man, but she will always remember the man who she shares 2 children with. Rest in peace, John. Creepy facts you wish you never knew. When you buy rice, you're supposed to soak it because they contain rice weevils that most of you have been eating and never knew. Studies show that people who stay up late and get up late are more likely to become psychopaths. Heartbreak is a real thing known as heartbreak syndrome, and it has symptoms similar to a heart attack, meaning some people pass away from a broken heart. Lack of sleep actually shrinks your brain. This woman is evil. Viktor Jelinsky tried to rob a hair salon in Russia, but when he ran in demanding the money, the woman overpowered him and knocked him half unconscious. That's when one of the women, Olga, tied him up, took off all of his clothes, force-fed him performance medication, and forcefully used him for 3 days. Once released, Viktor ran straight to the police, and Viktor and the woman was arrested. Addiction's gone entirely too far. Han Miyoku was a Korean supermodel who became wildly successful due to her beauty. At age 28, she moved to Japan to further her career. All of this attention on her looks might have seemed like a good thing at first, but it slowly started taking over her life. She became so obsessed with her looks, it became her identity. She decided to get her first surgery, which came out amazing, but then she started getting more and more, and eventually, after a while, her face became plumped. Unsatisfied, she kept going back to the doctors, but they kept refusing because they didn't want things to get worse. But she had already become addicted to silicone injections, so she decided to buy some off the black market since no doctor would help her. When she finally ran out of money, she started injecting her skin with cooking oil. People started seeing this and raising money to help her get surgery, but this was the best doctors could do. Like and follow my page because my next story is insane. This is why you should be careful what you eat. In 1990, Joe Matheny opened up a burger stand. It became very popular, but what many didn't know is that they were eating burgers made out of humans. See, Joe had a rough childhood, and as an adult, him and his wife were addicted to that white rock. One day his wife left him with their baby and ran away with her pimp. This made Joe angry. That night, he searched under a bridge looking for his wife and her pimp because he wanted to end their lives. But when he couldn't find them, he decided to take his anger out on other dope heads and homeless people around the area. That night, he unalived 5 people in 7 hours. He was finally caught and blamed for 2 of those murders, but he only spent 18 months in jail because of the lack of evidence. Once he got out, he realized he had an addiction for unaliving people, this time taking his victims' meat and opening up a burger stand. When he eventually ran out of meat, he went on another spree to get more, but eventually one of his victims got away, and he was caught and police arrested him. When talking to the cop, he said he would sell pork rolls and human meat mixed together all the time, saying if you season them just right, they both tasted the same.
Wait. Oh my fucking god! Open your mouth. Open your mouth.
Scary videos that'll keep you up at night. One night, a woman was heard screaming, "Help me, somebody help me," in a car that was speeding down the neighborhood. This was the footage caught on someone's doorbell camera. This woman has not been identified yet, but witnesses say they saw her earlier getting her hair pulled by someone in the car. This woman was hearing weird noises in her house, so she decided to FaceTime and call her friend. That's when a weird figure was seen behind her.
Try like Salvation Army first and see what I can find, you know. I went and bought D.
Is there somebody in your house with you?
No, why? Why?
These are the chilling last moments of a woman that was unalived by her husband in Brazil. He finally catches her, unalives her, and sadly threw her off the balcony. A 21-year-old woman named Yareni Rios Gonzalez was pulled over after being a suspect of road rage. She was then handcuffed and put into a patrol car. While she was waiting, the police were searching her car, but they had parked their patrol car that she was in on the train tracks. As they were searching her car for any weapons, Gonzalez saw a train coming. She screamed and tried to get out the patrol car, but she was handcuffed, and none of the cops seemed to have heard her screams or the train coming for some weird reason. Before they knew it, the train hit the patrol car. Gonzalez survived. She suffered 9 broken ribs, a fractured sternum, back and head injuries, a broken arm, and she's still in the hospital needing multiple surgeries. My question is, why did the cops park the patrol car on the train tracks? Like and follow, because my next story will shock you. This is why you should never let anyone kiss on your babies. Savina and her mother was at a family member's house when a family member kissed on Savina. A little while later, she started developing bumps all over her face. Her mom was concerned because she was bleeding all over her t-shirt. It turns out that their own family member had herpes. It got so bad Savina could barely eat because the pain hurt so much, causing her to become extremely dehydrated and lose a lot of weight. Luckily, Savina got treated and eventually started healing. Spread this video and follow, because my next story will blow your mind. Facts about Jeffrey Dahmer that they don't mention in this series. Jeffrey Dahmer worked at a chocolate factory at one point of his life, and in his work locker, he kept the decaying head of one of his victims. In 1990, he tried drugging another victim, but he accidentally drugged himself, and the guy stole all of his stuff from him. Police found human remains on every single utensil in Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment. Like this video and follow for part 2. Someone sent me a weird video of what appears to be a UFO in the clouds. Let me know what you think in the comments. Also, if you want to turn walking into a side hustle, there's a cool app to do that. I left the link in my bio if you want to check it out.
So our campsite just got fucking trashed by a storm that came out of nowhere, right? Right? What the fuck is this? Hello?
This boy saved his mom from drowning.
Surveillance video shows 10-year-old Gavin Keeney diving into the family pool to save his mom, who's having an epileptic seizure. Just like a trained lifeguard, Gavin lifts his mom's face out of the water. Then he clings to the ladder, the entire time supporting her head to keep her from drowning. His grandfather realizes what's happening and rushes to help. Mom throws her arms around him. Then they all embrace in relief.
You must be so proud of him. Proud isn't even enough of word for it.
This is a clip of a previously convicted child predator explaining what he looked for in his victims.
Are there certain characteristics that you look for in children before molesting them?
In children, yes, but more I also looked at their families. If I thought the father was a threat, I would not approach the child. If I thought that the child had friends that he would tell, I would not approach him. If I thought the child had friends that were in the same capacity he was, I would approach him. For the simple fact that if I could molest him, I could lure him into believing, grooming him into believing that he would enjoy it. And therefore, I could manipulate him into having his other friends come and be molested by me as well.
Lacey Fletcher was found naked and melted in her parents' couch. After 9th grade, Lacey Fletcher was homeschooled at her parents' house in Slaughter, Louisiana. The reason for this is because she had multiple mental illnesses, including severe autism, Asperger's, and social anxiety. Lacey's parents, Sheila and Clay, were supposed to be taking care of her because Lacey also suffered from locked-in syndrome, which is a neurological condition that causes full paralysis. But instead of taking care of her, they watched her rot away on their couch. Lacey was found only weighing 96 pounds, covered in maggots and feces. There was even bite marks on the couch showing that she was eating the couch. She even had fecal matter all over her face. She had bacterial infections and her body was rotting away from all that waste all over her body. The couch eventually began to fuse to her skin and melt away, along with her. Lacey's own parents had neglected her when she needed them the most. Sheila and Clay Fletcher said that their daughter chose to never leave the couch. But how could she? They've been indicted in second-degree murder charges, and I pray they get life in prison. Give this video a like and follow my page because my next story is insane. Andrew Tate has finally been banned off Instagram and Facebook. And this comes after him threatening to beat a girl who ran into a room to hide from him.
You're a jerk. Show me the bruises.
Oh, poor thing. I have an idea. Some ideas?
out the door, you knew I was gonna beat the out of you.
And there's a video of him smacking a girl, grabbing her hair, and beating her over and over and over again. Now he tries to justify this by saying she enjoyed it.
Now, once again, this is an IQ test, right? Because any guy who's bad with women would look at it and go, takes a woman beater. Any man who's actually a G, who's been around a little bit, would look at the video and go, man, she wants that. She likes it.
Now, if you saw that video, you know sure and well she wasn't enjoying that. This man's an abuser, and if you support him, you are a weirdo. Go get help. This TikToker's father killed one of her biggest fans. This is Ava Madry, a 14-year-old girl who was huge on TikTok. She has a lot of fans, but one took it way too far. Eric Rohan Justin, aka Eric Justin 111, was obsessed with her, constantly on every one of her videos and messaging her on all her social medias. To get him to kind of back off a bit, Ava and her mom and dad agreed to sell him face-only selfies for around $300. But it didn't work and only made him more obsessed. Eric was able to message her classmates until he finally got her address. He showed up to her house with a shotgun and blasted through her door. Her father managed to scare him away, but he came right back. And that's when her father had no choice but to unalive him. Ava is now living somewhere else and now homeschooled. If you like more of these stories, please follow me. We're almost at 6 million followers, everyone. We can do it.
That is a charge called homicide, felony murder. It is life without parole.
This is Seth Welch and his wife Tatiana, and they're being charged with murder of their 10-month-old daughter, who was found with sunken eyes, sunken cheeks, and very, very malnourished. After paramedics found the baby, Seth had took to Facebook to say this: heart is absolutely shattered, woke up to Mary dead in her bed this morning. Thankfully, the autopsy had revealed that the baby had passed from malnutrition and dehydration. The crazy part is that this all could have been prevented. They had knew a month ago that the baby was very skinny and underweight, but decided not to seek medical help because of their religious beliefs and a mistrust in modern medicine and the government. Seth even has a YouTube channel where he rants bizarrely about the government, Harry Potter, and religion. So my question goes to you guys: do you think sometimes religion and conspiracies can be pushed way too far? Like this video and follow, because my next video is even wilder.
A horrific crash caught on camera. A black Mercedes plowing into a Los Angeles intersection Thursday afternoon.
You remember this? Well, that was Nicole Lynn. She's a 36-year-old nurse who had her whole future ahead of her. She is currently being held on a $90 million bond. The crash that you witnessed killed 6 people, of those 6 being a woman with her child and unborn child. Linton is from Houston and was driving her Mercedes in Los Angeles through the Windsor Hills intersection. Do you want to know the reason supposedly why Linton drove through that intersection? She was out drinking under the influence and supposedly had a screaming duel over FaceTime with her boyfriend while driving. Under the influence, she lost it, let those emotions kick in, and decided to try to end her life. And the crazy part is, she survived, but injured and ended the lives of many other people who had bright futures. Think twice before getting in that driver's seat, and don't let temporary emotions cause permanent decisions. Like this video and follow my page for more updates on this story. This TikToker found out that her dad was her biggest OnlyFans customer. Paula Ramirez was getting hundreds from an anonymous account on her OnlyFans, telling her to perform X-rated acts. When she listened closely to the man's voice, she heard in the background another voice talking on the phone, and it sounded just like her mother. Turns out it was her own biological father she heard, paying her $150 to do things to herself. Disgusting. Be careful, ladies. Scary videos that'll keep you up at night. These people caught a woman screaming in a van for help. Police later started an investigation, but the woman called them and said that it was only her and her boyfriend having a disagreement that night. 2 friends in Japan wanted to explore an abandoned house, when all of a sudden, something freaky happened. A mushroom hunter was in the forest filming mushrooms when he heard something strange.
Some water. Huh? I think it's time to go.